Hi Sagittarians, you are having a very help over here. So this is a quick update for July for Mercury retrograde period. So we are going to just do tarot and some kind of like divine messaging. Since you were the sign number 2, you're getting a little bit more extended reading, and I want to thank you for engagement with my channel, because you're coming up as a sign number 2. So please continue clicking, please continue liking and commenting. That is kind of like going to push you forward. And so this is the new system that I have. It's sort of like a click contest. The first 3 signs get a little bit more extensive reading, and the 12th sign that has the least clicks is not going to be even read. So hopefully it's going to encourage people to push forward. Also, this is a general reading, so make sure, I'm going to zoom this in so you can see this better. Make sure that you also check your ascendant and that you check your moon sign, because it's going to give you a bigger picture. You can also contact me directly at cattarot.ca for your reading, so we can go from there. Okay, so let's see what is in store for you guys in this particular period. So this is just covering something, I believe 20th or so. We are entering Mercury retrograde today, July 9th. I don't know if you noticed any issues. I have been suffering the entire shadow already. Mercury in Leo is very generous. It is like your quote-unquote sister sign, if you wish. And it can be very passionate, it can be very confusing. Wow. I just read Leo also to see how they're doing, and they're like dealing with some kind of like old crap, right, that is coming up, resurfacing. And look at here, you have Judgment. Judgment is showing up here, another karma card that is coming here. And they had also a Page of Swords, but you have it upright. And then you have the 7 and this one is really interesting, the picture of it here. One Sphinx just decided to lie down, I'm not going anywhere. And it's also reversed, the Chariot reversed, right? We also have the runes and the messaging over here that we are going to visit as well. So let's see where we go with this. First and foremost, you got this Judgment card, right? As you can see, the angel is here saying, okay, so what do you think? I didn't see it? No, the answer is I did see it. Judgment always shows up where, you know, the angel Judgment appears kind of like as kind of like this majesty and cannot be avoided. Almost like, I know it's not a Leo, but it kind of like gives me this majestic appearance, right? So these are the mortal souls and who behold him, and they're faced with the knowledge of their life deeds and how these deeds are going to affect their life to come. So you see, it's all good now, we are going through life, and then you come to the end and like, oh shoot, I have to do it all over again, and now I have to suffer for all these crappy things I did. But think of this more like a time of rebirth, the last judgment. Kind of like the slate is wiped clean. You don't have to drag that stone around your neck. You don't have to drag all these old things, right? So those who have the strength at this stage to kind of like stand up to this assessment of their character will move forward. Technically, the way I feel that final assessment works, and I've seen it in my meditations many times, is like you almost like given something like a globe. Do you know these like globes that they're holding, like this huge globes are holding in some kind of like on a stand, and you push it, but it's not a globe, it's kind of like an orb. And in that orb you actually see your own life. It almost looks like up from the clouds, and you are removed from, let's say, embarrassment. You're removed from judgment. You're in fact looking at it as if it was something or somebody else. You kind of like are not emotionally triggered, right? And I really think that then you're comparing this to this karma that you have basically assigned for yourself in this life, right? So it is really important during this period for you, I believe, to clear and clean any kind of like denial. And if you are noticing that you're repeating some kind of pattern, that you keep doing it, and on some level you might know it's wrong, that you don't want to do it, whatever it is, every single one has some kind of like form of addiction, right? So food, cigarettes, drugs, alcohol, working too much, partying too much, just name it, right? So this is now a time to kind of like really look into that and saying, I don't want to continue with you anymore. And you're talking to, let's say, you're drinking too many coffees. I don't want to drink this many coffees anymore. I don't want to do this anymore, right? So that denial is no longer there when you face it. You're like literally facing it. And you're saying, I am going to win over this, right? So it's almost like that it's a time to attend the call, kind of like this deep call of your soul, of your deepest kind of like vocation. Like what we actually do for a living, like most of our jobs are really useless, right? Like, what, being a programmer, like being an astronaut, like that's really counts as important. Like, I think there are like only 2 or 3 professions literally that matter. Like, tending to your basically field and feeding and healing, like I don't really think that really anything else extremely matters, right? Sometimes you really wonder why we have developed all of that and why we have all of these who is important, who is not kind of a thing. So I really think that this is talking about experiencing humility, that you are like, if you get to that stage, you're going to get this kind of like divine ability. This divine ability is going to give you ability to clean the slate, so hence going nowhere. Sorry, he's like talking to the cat, which is a great thing, but it's not a great thing. It's happening during the reading. This is also talking the truth. Page of Swords can be kind of like not diplomatic, let's put it that way. When he or she talks, usually they are connecting to somebody who is young, who is really not very refined. And hey, when I look at him, he's like, ooh, I didn't do it, not me. So since I'm being interrupted here, and this is like a typical Mercury retrograde, this is how it works. You're like probably trying to make a sentence, and I have a neighbor like that. I hate it, right? I never manage to finish the sentence because he knows what I'm thinking, and he's always inserting the stuff in there. So instead of like 2-minute conversation, it ends up being 20-minute conversations, getting to the point that I'm avoiding him. So whether or not you're doing this to someone or somebody's going to be doing it to you, it's going to be something that is not going to go anywhere. It's going to be something which might reach a dead end, but not in the terms of this bad breakup or anything like that, right? Proverbially, during retrogrades, we are dealing with the past things, and this is like also kind of like one of those things that you really need to take in account. So let me see which rune you got. Well, you got a rune that is a rune that is called Kaunas, and this is the rune of passion and insight, but it's reversed. It is the rune also about soul level passion, right? So this is how it's usually positioned. So this arrow goes in this way, and actually, to be honest with you, to me Kaunas always makes more sense this way. So I'll explain, right? Because this really talks about rune of enlightenment, right? So here it would be like enlightenment is like pretty much like this card, something that has been coming from the past coming to the fore, right? But this, it really talks about that light of enlightenment sort of like fading a little bit, right? But it's giving you the same message that I have just basically said, that there's something from the past, that you need to let go of something, and you need to be prepared to move on. It's almost like philosophical attitude, and philosophical attitude is absolutely a good fit with your sign, because you boy like philosophy. Just don't tangle yourself up in knots. Philosophy is, what the heck was I thinking? Eating sugar all my life. That's a freaking drug. Like, I mean, they were giving cocaine or sugar choice to mice that have been starved, and guess what they chose? And they were like cocaine addicts, and they chose sugar. This is how basically addictive sugar is. So I derailed because I just really want to tell you have to figure out what your sugar addiction is and what you really need to move on. It is a time for reassessment. Where do you go from here? The answer to the question will really convince you that there is kind of like a wisdom that you need to gain. And even if you think, oh my gosh, this is going nowhere, I'm going to get derailed, I'm going to go right in a ditch, because it really talks about it. Maybe you were thinking about taking certain things in one direction, and just like you ended up, oh my gosh, nothing is workable, I don't want to do it, or I'm tired, I'm sleepy, or they will not work with this. This chariot is about goals and setting goals and where you're going. You have to really ask yourself if you have the proper goals, you have the proper people, you have the proper will. And then the second layer would be how to get there, but not in a forceful way. This is really cleaning the slate. So you have to ask yourself, well, what kind of personality you want to have in this next phase. Let me see the advice for you guys. The advice is opportunity. And I really love this. She's showered with freaking gold. This is really telling me this, guys, that even though, and this is like one of those beautiful things in life, you heard about silver lining, right? So sometimes losing is winning. And it's a beautiful thing when it happens, right? Because it really is going to be one of those things. If you try to push your win, if you try to force certain things going forward, and by the way, be very careful of traveling. I really have to warn you. It could be mechanical errors in your case, right? Make sure you have the air and tire, enough gas, oil, and all the stuff, because it's going to count. This really talks about you kind of like finding this humility, and if you do find it, if you just kind of like go down on your knees with yourself or with somebody else, you are going to get some newfound respect, not only toward yourself but from the other people, right? And this is going to open this completely hidden door that you didn't expect to see there, and that you didn't think it's ever going to manifest. In particular, if you're wondering about certain things from the past that maybe had to do with your career, because this could be kind of like feeling, oh my gosh, I'm going nowhere, I'm not making more money, I'm not even getting promotions or a raise, things will change. It's going to kind of like give you a completely different flavor in which direction you're going. So Sagittarius, just kind of like use this wisdom of this period to reassess you, to x-ray your own emotions and your own attitudes, and see which one has to go, and see which people stay, which people go, and you are going to have this beautiful door of opportunity opening up for you. So until a few days later, when we're going to have the entire monthlies. And Safi, you are just showing the furry butt, not your pretty face for Sagis. You don't want to bring them luck? Here, show the face. Hey. This is like what I'm hearing the whole day. This is how Mercury retrograde works on kitty cats. Do you love me? How much? How much? How much you love me? Super much? Like I love you? Really? Do you love Tiger? Oh, that's new. So my dear Sagis, thank you so much. Please check your ascendant, please check your moon, and yeah, please comment and click, because that's going to help you get one of the first readings next time around. Love you and all the best.